We are as transparent as an organization you're ever going to find.
Making sure your donations are going to the right place.
There's a lot of work in running a nonprofit. It can be more complicated than you think it would be.
With questions surrounding how much money is given out through nonprofits like the Colorado Healing Fund, we're taking an in-depth look at how those nonprofits use your funds.
All nonprofits have administrative fees because they need to run and keep their lights on.
Every dollar we raise goes only one place, to that bag of food.
Knowing about an emergency the moment it happens.
It's just a much more efficient way to get a lot more information to the public.
Boulder is explaining why they've added another emergency alert system.
People can look at it and see it real time, know where they're supposed to be going.
And a pride flag torn off a home not once, twice.
Now the homeowner wants to know who is responsible.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for Denver 7 News at 6. I'm Ann Trujillo.
And I'm Shannon Ogden. Glad you're with us tonight. And new tonight, the Colorado Healing Fund is looking at adjusting how much they take in administrative fees.
And to give you some context here, the Colorado Healing Fund is the state's main nonprofit, making sure victims of the Club Q shooting and their families get the donations meant for them.
However, questions were raised after people learned the fund currently takes 10% of each donation for administrative fees and operational costs. And in a statement to Denver7, the fund's board president tells us, quote, after hearing this weekend from survivors of past tragedies, the organization is working on other ways to meet its operating costs. That will include possibly eliminating the need to collect an administration fee on donations.
And with more donations happening around the holidays, we decided to dig deeper into nonprofit spending. And Denver7 CB Cotton is joining us live in studio tonight to begin our in-depth coverage.
So I want to say, though, these administrative fees are not uncommon for large nonprofits.
Right. And Shannon, they're not uncommon. And, you know, especially for nonprofits who are taking in more than $50,000 a year. I spoke with a legal team which works with nonprofits daily, and the team told me these admin fees sometimes exist because the IRS has really strict language on where donations can go. Every package is a labor of love.
Salsas, cheese, again, milk.
And nourishes children in the Denver metro.
Most of these kids we serve get fine in school, right? They get hot lunch, they get breakfast. They go home on Fridays without a real source of food for the weekend.
Bob Bell has operated his nonprofit, Food for Thought Denver, since 2012, and bagging each weekend meal has also taken work many people never see.
It can be more complicated than you think it would be.
Bell's nonprofit is ran strictly by volunteers. He has no building and uses minimal resources.
We obviously don't have a building. We work under a bridge, for gosh sake. But, you know, as long as you play the rules by the game, the 501c3, we are as transparent as an organization you're ever going to find.
The 501c3 rules are something Kara Lawrence knows well.
I specialize in working with tax-exempt organizations throughout Colorado.
We reached out for her expertise as the Colorado Healing Fund faces scrutiny for taking 10% of each donation for admin fees. Lawrence says that's not uncommon.
Once you're bringing in, over $50,000 a year, you really need to start having bookkeepers, tax preparers, and, just spending money on some either staff or even consultants or contractors.
She says some nonprofits also have admin roles because of IRS requirements. One of them, that a nonprofit publish its 990 form. Another,
organizations that are putting out funds into the public or helping victims or helping other beneficiaries are required by the IRS to investigate and to make sure that the money's going to the appropriate people.
If concerns remain, she recommends people use the Secretary of State's website or GuideStar before donating.
Looking at the ratings and at their Form 990s, which are the IRS annual returns, and really doing your homework on the organization.
Bell welcomes everyone to read up on his labor of love.
We know it's not the end all, it's a bag of food. But if it helps them feel more normal, act more normal, integrate more normally, who knows? Miracles can happen.
In Denver, I'm CB Cotton, Denver 7.
And as CB reported there, it can be kind of tricky to decide how to donate your money and determine which charities are reliable. But one way to gauge how a nonprofit is spending its money is by checking its financial ratios.
And before you actually tune out, it really is fairly simple to get a glimpse at a nonprofit spending by checking the Colorado Secretary of State's website. And I did exactly that for the Colorado Healing Fund. And going deeper tonight, we're going to focus on this number that you see there, 93% or 93 cents. That is the Colorado Healing Fund's efficiency ratio. And in this case, the Healing Fund's ratio is 93%. And in general, that means 93 cents of every dollar raised through the fund is put towards program expenses. Those expenses and donations are then getting to the victims who need it most.
And the Secretary of State's office notes that a lower ratio does not always indicate that a nonprofit is not spending its money correctly. Now, it could simply mean the nonprofit's just starting out. It has more things to spend on, like fundraising. Nonprofits in larger cities also might have to deal with larger overhead, office space, that sort of things, and salaries associated with the higher cost of living.
The Colorado Healing Fund isn't alone with having to put a portion of donated funds toward other costs. Many of you may have donated to Club Q victims through the crowdfunding website GoFundMe, which also takes a portion out of money given through that site.
The only money that comes out of a donation is a 2.9% fee plus 30 cents per donation, which are normal fees associated with the handling of debit and credit cards.
GoFundMe also told us their trust and safety team is constantly reviewing fundraisers, especially those created in the wake of a large tragedy such as the Club Q shooting. And that team helps ensure those who set up a GoFundMe actually get the donated money to the people it's intended for. And the Secretary of State does have a website set up for Coloradans to check the background of a charity or nonprofit to make sure it's legitimate. You can find that by visiting the website at the bottom of your screen, checkthecharity.com.
An official recount now has been ordered in the race between Congresswoman Lauren Boebert and the candidate who challenged her re-election, Adam Frisch. The result likely will stay the same. Frisch has conceded already. However, with Boebert leading by just 550 votes, that means that does meet the state's threshold for a mandatory recount. The recount must be completed within 2 weeks.
New at 6, a CU Boulder student sent us these videos showing someone taking down a pride flag that was displayed outside his apartment. Now, this has happened twice within the last 3 months at his home off College Avenue, just blocks away from CU. The most recent incident happened last night, and he later found the pride flag burned and left outside of his apartment. Well, tonight we are talking with that student and going in depth on LGBTQ hate crimes here in Colorado, and you can watch that on Denver 7 News at 10. We are exactly 1 month out, marking 1 year since the Marshall Fire. And as we start to look back on the recovery and support efforts that followed, we're also looking deeper into what city leaders and fire crews are doing differently.
Well, as Denver 7's Bayan Wang explains, the city of Boulder is now using another tool they think can save lives.
So this was formerly what we would use.
Up until Monday,
It's broken out into Area 1.
a physical map of Boulder
We would be looking at is street by street.
and several obstacles
Multiple processes, lots of steps, and it takes time.
hindered sending out alerts during an emergency.
The Marshall Fire showed us that this was not going to be adequate for every situation.
The destruction of that historic fire only became apparent with hindsight, but we still hear from those who didn't get notice to evacuate until it was almost too late.
Some of the big takeaways were how to help the community be prepared to be ready to evacuate quickly.
And now, the city of Boulder believes it has one of the major solutions.
The big thing that Zonehaven does for us on the emergency response side is it streamlines that process.
Zonehaven is a new web-based emergency mapping tool Boulder Wildland Division Chief Brian Oliver has been familiarizing crews with.
It's pre-identified polygons on a map. We have the map, dispatch has the map. They're all numbered the same. And then we also pre-populate those polygons into Everbridge, into the alert launch system.
So when a fast-approaching fire threatens a community,
All I have to say is, I need to evacuate zone 043. Dispatch sees the same zone that I see. They can send out the alert.
anyone using Zonehaven can see this happen in real time.
I can populate evacuation centers in the website, then send people to them. So you can see this green icon right here, YMCA Boulder Valley. So I can say, go to this spot, and it's already populated on the map, so people can look at it and see it real time.
The map will also show residents where the fire is, areas that are evacuated and on standby, allowing residents to prepare long before they get the alert to leave.
Trying to draw on a map and relay information back and forth, build Everbridge, would take 30 to 45 minutes for that to happen. Now this happens almost instantly.
30 minutes during the Marshall Fire
Yeah.
could be.
It could be life or death. Yes, 100%.
Bayan Wang, Denver7.
And Boulder County says they're keeping an eye on this new technology the city is using and are in talks with what something similar would look like for the whole county. Now, if you live in the city of Boulder, you do need to opt in to get these emergency alerts, and we have a link on how you can do that on Denver7.com.
I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled they'll be able to get their teeth fixed.
A necessary change just in time for Christmas.
You say all I want for Christmas is my 2 front teeth. They're literally going to get them, you know.
Critical dental care for kids is now covered, all thanks to one call to contact Denver7.
I got great relationships in my locker room.
Russell Wilson addresses the elephant in the room.
Whoever is trying to tear it down, you can't.
That's funny, because I don't think it's true.
Even some of his teammates are denying the reports that the locker room no longer has his back.
We may not be having a good season. We may be 3-8, but I respect the heck out of Russell Wilson and the way he's leading this football team.